everyone! Today I'm going to speed paint a mermaid with a starry sky. Woo! So it all started with this sketch that I did last week. I really liked the sketch, so I decided to make it a flat painting. So this is all very sped up because I have no patience and I wanted to keep the video to like a under 8-minute limit. So basically I threw down a wash, and right now I am uh, putting in all the base colors. My technique in general is definitely not a technique to follow if you don't really want to. I am a mess, always. I have a very, very messy technique. Sometimes I regret it, most of the times it actually works out really well for me. Also, I realized halfway through painting this that I forgot to paint in her tail, so I threw it in now. Right now, the nice thing about all the roughing in of the colors is that you can get a lot of texture out of it by doing it this way. So I am playing around with shadows already and layering everything, and it will all work out well in the grand scheme of things. There is some green undertone to her skin. She is a mermaid. I would think that she is green. Hair is honestly like the hardest part for me. I know you're supposed to have a lot more patience in doing it, but I have none. When it came to the sky, I just made a mess. When working wet on wet with the sky, especially starry skies, that's how you really get your best effects. And you can get a lot of crazy shapes and textures and everything, and salt will be your best friend when it comes to stars. And just letting it dry. The nice thing about recording all these videos that I've been doing for YouTube lately is that it actually really forces me to stop and let things dry. That's something that I've never really done before. And so this is really, really great. Every time my battery dies or the memory card gets full, it gives me a chance to stop and work on the video itself and then go back to the painting. Right now I'm using Payne's Gray to go through and just flesh out more of the details. I really love Payne's Gray. It's a really nice color, and it's straight Payne's Gray. I don't mix it with anything, and it's not as harsh as black, but it still gives you that detailing that you really, really want. As a general rule, I don't use black watercolor because it always winds up just awful looking. Doing a little bit more work on her tail, and then going through with some more of the detailing and just working on her tail in general so I can get more of the texture that I want. I kept working in the water throughout the whole time to make sure that I had the shadows and everything that I wanted, and also wanted to keep it still water looking. Playing around my phone. The whole time I'm going, I have Spotify going, and I have the Corey Taylor themed radio station going because I have an obsession. More work on her hair now that it is dry. I'm able to work with more detailing it, making it darker, and picking out more shadows and highlights and stuff like that. Now I'm going through with the Payne's Gray some more with her tail, and throwing up the scales and the highlights and a little bit more shadows and bringing them up to definition, I guess is the word I'm looking for. More work on the water. I decided to darken the whole thing because it was just a little too late. The nice thing, since it's all completely dry, I was able to just easily wash over everything that was already there, so now the shadows are there, but then they seem a lot more faded in, I guess. I have no idea what the word is I'm looking for. Darkening up the sky a little bit, that way everything stands out the way I want it to. And then working a little bit on the mountains and just keep working in that sky. I wanted to find the Milky Way that I had going through it a little bit more, so I'm working mostly with blue and purple and red and yellow to get it all done. And again, here I started out with more pigmented colors, and then I spread them out a little bit more with water, and now I'm working wet on wet. My camera died at the inopportune moment, and I couldn't really stop, so you miss a little chunk there. Paper towels will always be your best friend for just blotting things up and giving you an idea of what things were looking like. I did outline her tail with my marker only because the rest of her was outlined, so I didn't want her tail to match up. And now I'm pretty much just darkening up all the shadows and everything, and making sure I like everything. The final touches really for this is to darken up the sky again, which I should be doing shortly, maybe. There we go. Darkening up the sky a little bit more, adding in the stars by I started out using gouache and I didn't like it, so I hunted down my white acrylic and used that instead for the stars. So here's the gouache, and I didn't like it because it wasn't bright enough or opaque enough. And I did start some of the highlighting with the gouache as well, but it faded too much into the watercolor and I didn't have the patience to figure out what I was doing wrong. So I grabbed my golden acrylic white and worked with that instead. I try to keep it down to a minimum detail-wise, so every now and again I was using either straight paint or I was diluting it a little bit with the water. So now I'm just picking out highlights and the little mountains and the rocks and adding more stars to everything. And then the final touch, and my favorite part of any star painting, is adding the glitter. So once I finish up splattering my page with white, I then dig out one of my glitter glues and just mostly focusing on the Milky Way itself. And then I did add a couple of actual spots and spread out the glitter a little bit. So here is the final picture, and I'll be scanning it and adding it to my Instagram and Society6 and my Redbubble shop. So always check them out, and I hope you enjoyed this video and my rambling narration that goes with it. See you next time, and don't forget to subscribe.